Good morning. Thank you all for joining. We will get started in just a moment. We'll give a moment for the waiting room to clear. As a reminder, when you are entering from the waiting room, please do remain on mute unless or until you are providing testimony before the board. Good morning. This is a hearing before the licensing board for the city of Boston. Today is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. Today's hearing is being held pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. That is what allows us to meet virtually. Today's hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman of the Board, Kathleen Joyce.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Joyce, Chair of the Boston Licensing Board, and today I'm joined by Commissioner Liam Curran and Commissioner Kiana Saxon.
Thank you. Please ensure that your audio and visuals are working properly if you intend to provide testimony this morning. I will call each item in the order that it appears on this morning's agenda. I will then ask who is present on behalf of the licensee, who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department, and whether there are any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify. I will then swear in all parties. After that, the police report will be read into the record, and the licensee or their representative will have the opportunity to make a brief statement, followed by questions by the chair and commissioners. All testimony will be limited only to those individuals with firsthand personal knowledge of the alleged incident. Begin with the first item on this morning's agenda, calling item number 1, LCTB Fort Point LLC, doing business as Lolita Cocina and Tequila Bar, located at 253 Summer Street. Date of the incident, July 3rd, 2024. Assault and battery, patron on patron, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Attorney William Burke for the licensee, together with Mr. Mark Malatesta from Lolita.
Thank you very much. I do see Mr. Malatesta on my screen. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Police Officer Connor Walsh.
Thank you, Officer Walsh. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Okay, Mr. Malatesta, Officer Walsh, can you both please raise your right hand?
Sorry, Detective Swain is here also.
I'm sorry, I was muted. Detective Sandra Swain.
Thank you, Detective Swain. Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
Connor Walsh.
Great. Officer Walsh, you may please proceed.
About 10:44 p.m. on Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024, officers Walsh and Russell in the Fox 111 Frank responded to a radio call for a fight at 253 Summer Street, South Boston, Lolitas. Upon arrival, the officers were flagged down by staff and told that one of the individual involved parties was walking down Melcher Street towards A Street. The officers stopped the male, Diego Gonzalez, date of birth April 23rd, 2000, who stated he did not know what had transpired and he was out with his friend, Pablo Amador, date of birth July 18th, 1998. As the officers were talking with Mr. Gonzalez, another male, Ivan Diaz, date of birth June 17th, 1994, approached the officers. Mr. Diaz told the officers that there was a fight between two unknown females and that Mr. Gonzalez had stepped in to try to stop it. When Mr. Gonzalez stepped in, an unknown male party thought he was involved in the fight and also stepped in. Mr. Diaz told the officers that a brief fight ensued between the unknown male, Mr. Gonzalez, and Mr. Diaz. Mr. Diaz stated that at the end of the fight, as everybody was clearing out of Lolitas, one of the girls accidentally knocked over a few glasses. Officers spoke with the general manager, Bruno Prado, who stated that he observed a female get punched in the face and then a fight ensued. Mr. Prado advised the officers that Lolita did have cameras inside and they have video of the incident. Officers advised Mr. Prado to save the video. The Fox 901, Sergeant Tully responded and conducted a licensed premise inspection, licensed premise violation 058914.
Thank you very much. Attorney Burke, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Green. Good morning, Officer Walsh. Did in fact the Boston Police Department receive a call from Lolita's reporting this incident that caused you to respond to that call?
I'm not sure who the 911 caller was.
Okay. When you arrived, did you get full cooperation from the staff at Lolita's?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any issues with any aspect of their cooperation with you?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you. If there's nothing further from the Boston Police Department, I would ask Mr. Malatesta, who has been sworn. Mr. Malatesta, state first, what's your relationship to Lolita's, please?
I'm the owner.
And as the owner, did you have occasion to conduct an investigation concerning this particular incident on July 3rd of 2024?
Yes, we did.
Please detail what it was that you did and what you found.
Our team did in fact make that call to the authorities to ask for help immediately once this started. There was a group that came in, sat down, actually quite large group, asked to be served. Our team said, we're not comfortable serving you. We'll give you food. So that this whole group was not served any alcohol at all. We did place a mediocre, medium to large size food order for them. And then there was an argument within the group internally that was, they started pushing a little bit. We broke it up quickly and started to get people out, but we'd already called the police at that point as soon as it started. The whole incident from when they showed up to when they left was so quick that the food order wasn't even finished by the time we had already escorted everyone out. So they were on property for less than maybe 20 minutes, if that.
Why did you refuse service to them of alcohol?
They were showing signs of intoxication.
Okay. And with respect to the call, you can confirm that one of your staff actually called the Boston Police Department?
Yes.
Okay. Was anyone injured as far as you understand?
I have no knowledge of any injuries.
Okay. And from your investigation, do you take any exception to the narrative that was provided by Officer Connors with respect to what they observed and what they were told?
I'm not sure of what actually was seen over outside the space, but from what we saw inside, it was an internal argument with the group. Some other people, saw what was happening as happens with these things, and then had gotten involved. Our team kind of kept them out of it, and whatever happened outside, I'm not sure, but we had called the authorities immediately.
And did you provide copies of surveillance videotape to the Boston Police Department?
We did forward that.
All right. And have you, in fact, cooperated fully with the Boston Police Department in their investigation of this matter?
Yes, sir.
To your knowledge, were there any injuries suffered by anybody as a result of this incident?
Not to my knowledge.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Madam Chair or members of the board.
Thank you. We'll see if the board has any questions at this time. Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. I don't have any questions.
Neither do I. Thank you.
None from me. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no questions, then the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy New Year to all.
And you. Calling item number 2, Young Sun Inc. doing business as Liberty Diner located at 1003 Massachusetts Ave in Roxbury. Date of the incident, August 17th, 2024. Assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and knife, patron on patron, on premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 15A. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Hello, Robert Doucette.
Thank you, Mr. Doucette.
Yeah,
there we go.
there we go. Sorry. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. And your position with the licensed premise?
My mother is the owner. I'm the manager.
Great. All right. Thank you very much for being with us this morning. Who
Thank you.
is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Officer Joyce, I believe, is present. He's on mute.
Yep, I do see Officer Joyce. I've just asked you to unmute.
Excuse me, Officer Joyce.
Thank you very much for being with us. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
I believe Detective Moriarty should be here, but absent him, Lieutenant Detective Troy.
Thank you. I do not see Detective Moriarty, so thank you, Lieutenant Troy. Can you all please raise your right hand? You as well, Mr. Doucette, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I do.
Thank you. Officer Joyce, will you be reading the police report into the record for the board?
I will.
Thank you. You may please proceed.
About 9:12 p.m. on Saturday, August 17th, 2024, Officer Joyce and LeGrand, assigned to the Fox Gold 1 Frank, responded to a radio call for a person stabbed at 1003 Massachusetts Avenue, Liberty Diner, Boston. Boston EMS A15 was on scene upon officers' arrival. While approaching the scene, officers were made aware that the suspect, later identified as Conrad Bernetti, was still inside the location by a witness known to the Commonwealth, who was yelling frantically for police, stating, "He has a knife," and "the guy in the yellow shirt." Officers entered the establishment and observed victim 1, known to the Commonwealth, at the far end of the room, face down on the floor, being treated by EMS. Officers also observed 2 males, the suspect Bernetti and victim 2, known to the Commonwealth, on the floor in the center of the room between the tables. Victim 2 was on top of the suspect, pinning the suspect's left hand to the ground while the suspect was clutching a black knife. Officers separated victim 2 from the suspect. The suspect was placed into custody at this time and was observed to have a large amount of blood on his yellow shirt. Officer Joyce performed a search of the suspect for injuries and found no wounds. Multiple C6 and B2 units arrived on scene to secure the scene. Based on the nature of the injuries, the Fox 923 Sergeant Harrison declared full notifications. Victim 1 and victim 2 were transported by Boston EMS to Boston Medical Center and remain in critical condition at the time of this report. Homicide detectives are follow up with the status of both victims. Crime scene responded to process the scene. Major case photos done at Boston Police Headquarters. Due to the video evidence, witness statements, and under the directive of the Victor 983 Sergeant Detective Brown, the suspect is to be charged out of Roxbury District Court with 2 counts of assault and battery, dangerous weapon, 2-wit knife, body-worn cameras activated.
Thank you, Officer Joyce. We do have a supplemental as well. Lieutenant Troy, you'll be reading that in.
Yeah, the supplemental report written by Detective Cook, homicide investigator, reads as follows. On Saturday, August 17, 2024, at approximately 9:12 p.m., Boston police officers assigned to Area C6 responded to the Liberty Diner, 1033 Mass Ave, for a report of a person stabbed. The Liberty Diner is a restaurant open to the public. On arrival, officers located the first stab victim, referred to as victim 2 in the original narrative, pinning the suspect, Conrad Bernetti, to the floor in between tables situated in the dining area. Victim 2 was observed holding Bernetti's left hand to the ground. Bernetti, covered in blood, was clutching a black knife in his left hand, as observed by responding officers and documented in the original narrative. Boston police recovered this knife. Victim number 1, located towards the entrance of the establishment, was immediately treated by Boston EMS due to the severity of his injuries, which were life-threatening. Both victims were transported to Boston Medical Center by Boston EMS and treated due to the seriousness of victim 2's injuries. At the time, investigators were aware that victim 2 suffered stab wounds to the upper chest area, and victim number 1 suffered a significant slash to the left cheek, a minor laceration to the hand. Victim 2 remains in critical condition. This is at the time of the report, August 17th, and intubated through the weekend. Investigators immediately began to recover video from within the establishment and interview witnesses, including victim number 1. As a result of the collective interviews, investigators learned that the victims are brothers and frequent the establishment. Victim number 2 and his wife, victim number 1, were inside the establishment when a patron, Burnett, began making inappropriate and aggressive comments towards victims, number one, victim and victim two's wife. It was learned that the group was getting ready to leave the establishment when a scuffle ensued between victim number two and Brunetti. After realizing his brother had been stabbed, victim number one began to confront Brunetti, who then lunged at him. The two were involved in a physical altercation during which victim number one suffered a stab wound to the left cheek and a slice to the finger. Victim number one restrained Brunetti until the arrival of officers. The recovered video shows the family and Brunetti sitting at opposite ends of the bar located at the establishment. It should be known that this video was also recorded audio. The video recovered at this point captures victim number one stating to Brunetti, "I told you she was married." The next section of the recovered footage shows Brunetti and victim number two in a physical altercation. Victim number two can be seen bleeding profusely from the neck area. Another patron, unrelated to the family, can be heard saying, "Let him go. What's that in your hand? You just cut him." Victim number two then looks at his brother, victim number one, and states, "He cut me with something." Victim number one attempted to create distance between himself and Brunetti, who then lunged at him. Both victim number one and Brunetti are now engaged in a physical altercation where Brunetti can be seen striking victim number one in the head area. As the struggle ensued, victim number one ultimately was successful in subduing the armed Brunetti, holding him to the ground until the arrival of officers. It notes that video recovery is still ongoing. Detective Cook saw victim number two upon his arrival at Boston Medical Center the night of the incident and had the opportunity to speak to him. Detective Cook observed parts of the victim's left cheek hanging from the victim's face, and the injury ran from the area of his ear to his lip. Victim number one remains hospitalized at this time. As of today, August 19th, 2024, victim number two remains in critical condition, is receiving life support care, and has undergone multiple surgeries. It's also learned victim number two has a severed artery in his neck. Based on recovered video, witness interviews, and the recovery of physical evidence, an upgraded complaint, in addition to the original complaint charging 2 counts of armed assault with a dangerous weapon, assault and battery with a dangerous weapon, will be sought in Roxbury District Court, charging Burnett with armed assault with intent to murder against victim number two and mayhem against victim number one. That's the extent of that police report. And if I could just add that the matter was reassigned to Detective Moriarty in District 6 due to the fact that the victim didn't succumb to his injuries.
Thank you, Lieutenant Troy. With that, Mr. Doucette, would you like to address the alleged incident before the board?
No, I mean, we were not present at the time of the altercation. We received the phone call and I came down as quickly as I could. I shared all the video footage that we had with the detectives on site. Went down to the police station and just answered as many questions as we could. Basically just tried to be as helpful as we could, considering we were not there. But the employee that was working that night, she was relieved of her duties. And we have since then decided to, upgrade and retrain all our staff for incidents, that could have some sort of outcome like this. So, but outside of that, no, thank you.
Thank you. There may be some questions from the board. Chairman Joyce, do you have any questions?
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Doucette. Is there any security at the diner?
No, there is not.
So on a night like this, at this time, how many staff are working?
Generally, there is 1, maybe 2 at the most.
And you said that the woman working was let go?
Yes.
Why was that?
I did not feel that the way she handled the altercation was appropriate. There are many other steps that she could have taken to probably try to help alleviate the situation, but it's more so than just that one particular incident, but she was let go.
So in your opinion as manager, was something foreseeable? Like, was it foreseeable this was going to happen given I don't know, did she know them?
She knew the regulars. The two brothers were, regulars. They frequented the establishment almost daily. The other gentleman, as far as I know, that was maybe his first time at the business. So
Okay. So what did the staff do? Are you saying she did nothing? Did she call the police?
I mean, she did what she could. She called 911.
Okay.
But as I said, I was not present, so I don't know anything further than
Okay.
that.
So you said you retrained your staff. Can you tell me a little bit
Mhm.
about the training? What were they trained in?
Just how to better see situations before they occur. If you, I guess at one point she had left from behind the bar and gone out to interact with the individuals, which is something that should not be done. So that is something that I had to make sure that you cannot do that. Your job is to remain behind the bar unless there's an altercation that ensues that you have to come out. But she was outside of her area, and I feel that maybe she could have taken better steps to help so that the situation did not escalate as bad, possibly.
Okay. Officer Joyce, when you arrived, would you say that she, or I don't know, it sounds like she was the only one there that night, but generally I would ask, was the staff cooperative? I know Mr. Doucette was cooperative afterwards, but when you arrived that night, were they cooperative?
Unfortunately, I didn't have much time to speak to staff at that time.
Let's see if any of the other commissioners have any questions. Commissioner Curran?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
What is your capacity and what was what was the patron load that night?
The capacity is 57, and the patron load that evening was less than 10.
On a Saturday night at what was it, 9 o'clock at 9 o'clock hour?
Correct.
All right. What's not clear to me is how long did this go on for? When he started the rude comments.
I don't know because I wasn't present, but as far as I could see, it could have gone on anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes from the interactions that I viewed on the video.
Yeah. Are we going to have the video? Is that Boston Police or you able to give us the video?
I shared everything that I have with the Boston Police, so.
There is one video so far that has been provided by Boston Police that has been, it's in the hearing folder for today.
And is that the, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm Detective Moriarty. I'm sorry, I was late. I was in another court.
Thank you. Detective Moriarty, before you continue, can I swear you in? Can you please raise your right hand?
About that.
Thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Detective Moriarty, please proceed.
I'm sorry for being late. I was tied up in Dorchester Court. So the video was shared. It's a motion activated video, it appears. We got 8. We believe that the manager gave what he was able to get. However, we did file a search warrant with Nest to try to get other cameras because and you'll see the video from that angle that we only got 3 videos. I don't know if there's a problem with the system, but the original fight with the original individual who almost died, that altercation is not clear. It's the camera angles from the other end of the bar. The second fight is very clear. As far as the establishment cooperating, the bartender who was on duty was completely uncooperative. She ultimately was brought to the grand jury by the fugitive unit with a habeas warrant because she refused to cooperate. And each time I went there in an attempt to, I went to a house of record, which she had moved from, and I went to her other house and left the subpoena in my card. I went to the bar 2 or 3 times when she wasn't there, asking when she was going to work. I was told, I don't know, by bartenders. I asked them to leave, to take my card and to give it to her and have her call me. And they said, I don't really know her. I don't see her. Nobody really wanted to assist in getting her to call me to get her. I mean, I had a grand jury subpoena for her, and the 2 or 3 bartenders that I spoke to on 2 or 3 different occasions were uncooperative as well. I know the manager was cooperative that night. He did provide the video that I believe he was able to access. But overall, you know, the bartender on duty was not cooperative, and the staff when I went there were not cooperative either.
So the video we have is just of a fight. We don't, I think Commissioner Curran's looking for a video of the conversations that led up to the fight.
I do have those. I'll have to check with the ADA as far as sending those. I sent the one of the fight. That's the second part of the fight, ma'am, where the individual had his face sliced, significant, like from here to here, and very deep. He had stitches inside and outside. You can't really see that part of it happening because they fall over into tables, etc. I can forward more videos to Lieutenant Detective Troy. There's a conversation where the woman's husband says, "I told you that was my wife," to stop. There was 15 to 20 minutes is probably accurate as far as how long this was going on. There was some dancing, and the victim's wife and a friend, and I'm not 100% sure, but I believe the bartender came across the bar and they were dancing, and this gentleman kept saying, "Oh, you have to dance for me, you have to dance for me." And he was told multiple times by the victim's wife to leave her alone, and he continued.
And those interactions would have been audible to staff?
Yeah, you can hear him on the video. So, I mean, I believe at one point the bartender definitely came around the bar, was at the jukebox. I don't know if she was trying to put money in to get things, but yes, if I'm able to send all the videos you can see the build up to this.
Yep. I think that's a relevant inquiry here, Mr. Doucette. Mr. Doucette, so moving on in your retraining, have you talked to your staff about if they're going to work at your establishment, they have to agree to cooperate with police during an incident?
Yes, and that's why one of the reasons why the other employee was let go. I heard that there were several occasions in which you guys tried to contact her, and I guess I think a couple times she actually was here and just saying that she wasn't, because she's one of the only two people that we had working in the afternoons, but unfortunate situation, but we're trying to help alleviate that problem for future references.
Okay, I think that's all I have at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Doucette, did you interview the bartender? Did you ask for a statement or anything for your own files, for your own records?
We didn't put anything on file. I did ask her kind of like what happened, and from what she told me and from what I saw from video evidence, it was totally contradictory. So that was another reason why I just felt that like we could no longer keep her employed with us. I did not feel she was being honest to me, and apparently she wasn't being very cooperative, with the law enforcement of individuals. So,
just out of curiosity, how long did it take you to let her go? Was she weeks?
It did take a couple weeks because we had to take everything into account, and it wasn't something that was done immediately. After the incident, obviously, she asked for a couple days in which she wanted to take off, because something like that is somewhat traumatic. So we, allowed her to take some time off, but ultimately we did let her go a couple weeks after the event.
Any further questions from the board at this time?
Yeah, so on the night in question, I guess, all of your employees there, can you tell us what would have explicitly been their duties and responsibilities? Because since you had no security, dedicated security, who was told like you have to do this, like if something happens?
Basically that was up to the bartender, and she was really the only one on site that was, employed by us at the time. So it was solely on her.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have one additional question. Is it your business model to just have one person working at a time?
It was, yes, because we generally do not have a big influx of business in the later hours, but that's something in which we addressed, in which we have to, have more personnel on hand in the later hours in case of something like this. So we're trying to have at least 2 people. And then there's also, the possibility of having, police presence on site, detail. So.
Okay, so would it be accurate to say that since this incident, you now have more than one person working at all times?
Yes, there's 2 people here.
Okay. Thanks. I don't
You're
have any
welcome.
questions.
Any further questions from the board? Okay, Detective Moriarty, Lieutenant Troy, please do let us know if you're able to forward more video to the board. And with that, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a happy new year.
And you. Calling item number 3, the Wild Rovers Incorporated, doing business as the Wild Rover, located at 63 Chatham Street. Date of the incident, August 7th, 2024. Assault and battery, patron versus staff, in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Chapter 265, Section 13A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Upton for the licensee. With me is owner Bill Johnson and security manager Nico Baldassari.
Thank you very much. I see Mr. Johnson and Mr. Baldassari. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Police Officer Gerard Travers.
Sergeant Carl Dugel.
Thank you both. Are there any other individuals with first-hand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify? Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
Police Officer Travers.
Great, you may proceed.
About 1:46 a.m. on Wednesday, August 7th, 2024, officers Travers and Curran in the Alpha 103 Alpha responded to a radio call for an investigate person removal at Wild Rover located at 61-63 Chatham Street in downtown Boston. Upon arrival, officers spoke with bar patron Cameron Dowd, who stated that he was punched multiple times by a bouncer at the Wild Rover. Dowd further stated that he did not throw punches, but did admit to being kicked out of the bar by staff for helping himself to a drink behind the bar, which led him to being ejected. Dowd then went back up to the front door of the establishment to try to plead his case to get let back in the bar when the altercation ensued. Officer Travers spoke to the bouncer who was involved with Dowd. Frank Sims stated that Dowd had poured himself a drink, which led to him being told to leave. Sims stated that's when Dowd was removed. Dowd then returned to the door and got in Sims' face. Sims then stated that's when Dowd threw the first punch at him. Speaking with Dowd again, he estimated that this incident occurred about 1:42 a.m. near the entrance and believes it was captured on security camera footage at Wild Rover. Sergeant Plunkett, the Alpha 901, was notified that the incident occurred at a licensed premise, which will result in a licensed premise inspection, Code 35, at Wild Rover at a later date.
Thank you very much. Attorney Upton, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, thank you, Secretary Green. Officer, if I may, was management and staff cooperative in your investigation?
Yes, sir. The bouncer, Frank Sims, was cooperative.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for the officer. I have a brief statement, and then I would like to ask Nico Baldassari some questions. On August 7th, a patron named Cameron Dowd was caught on video by staff serving himself drinks from the bar. He was discovered and removed from the premises by Wild Rover staff. After about 4 minutes, he returned to the door and hassled the doorman while trying to re-enter. At this time, the doorman was talking with another patron who was standing outside the premises. It was at this time that Dowd started acting aggressively towards both the doorman and the regular patron. Dowd threatened the other patron, as can be seen in the video, which we will be providing to the board, and the doorman felt that Dowd appeared ready to strike the other patron with a clenched fist. It was at this time that the doorman moved to restrain Cameron Dowd, at which point Cameron Dowd fought back by throwing punches and tried to wrestle the bouncer to the ground. Contrary to allegations by Dowd, the Wild Rover bouncer only restrained Mr. Dowd from hurting the doorman and other patrons and did not at any time during the altercation throw any punches himself. During the altercation caused by Mr. Dowd, security manager Nico Baldassari was called to the door via radio per Wild Rover security policies. Nico called the police immediately. Nico has worked at Wild Rover for 7 years, and I would like to ask him a few questions. Nico, did you speak to the bouncer immediately following the altercation?
Yes, I did.
Did he tell you that Dowd was aggressive and threatening towards staff and other patrons?
Yes, he did.
Did the bouncer move to restrain Dowd because he seemed like he was about to strike the patron or him?
Yes.
What else did the bouncer tell you about the altercation?
So he pretty much just said that Dowd wouldn't leave and wouldn't stop berating him and other patrons entering the bar. And that he assumed and thought that he was gonna strike the patron. So he grabbed him up before any fight could happen.
All right. Did Wild Rover provide the police department with video footage?
Yes.
To the best of your knowledge, were any charges filed with BPD with BPD or by BPD after this incident?
No.
What did the police tell you about the situation?
They pretty much said that after reviewing the situation that he wasn't going forward with any charges and that he wasn't talking to the police anymore, and that he wanted to go back to Ireland, back home.
And you didn't, the bar didn't pursue any charges either?
No.
Okay. To your knowledge, was anyone hurt or injured during this?
No.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Secretary. We have been uploading 3 sets of videos to a stick drive, which we will deliver, which will support this narrative, and the board should have that this afternoon.
Thank you. We have one video so far that was provided from the Boston Police, so we will await further video that you will provide as well. With that, are there any questions from the board, starting with Chairwoman Joyce?
My only question right now is how long was this person inside the establishment?
It's kind of hard to say. I would assume probably around 45 minutes to an hour.
And it wasn't until they saw him on video reaching over the bar to help himself to a beer that he was escorted out.
Okay. And all right, thanks. Commissioner Carano, Commissioner Saxon?
I guess my only question would be, how long was he hanging out outside after ejection, kind of making a fuss?
I believe around like 10 to 15 minutes.
And we have time-stamped videos that you can review that will show that.
Okay. I guess I'll just wait for the video. Thank you.
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, the board will take this under advisement, and I will make sure that video is shared with commissioners as soon as received. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Calling item number 4, which concerns the same licensee, Wild Rovers Incorporated, doing business as the Wild Rover at 63 Chatham Street. Date of the incident, September 29th, 2024. Persons under 21 on premise in possession of alcohol in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 34A, 34C, and 6464A. An expired inspectional services certificate posted, that had expired March 1st, 2024. In violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.02B. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Attorney Tyler Hensler. With me is owner William Johnson and manager Jackie Bosak.
Great. Thank you very much. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with first-hand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning?
Detective Hernandez if needed.
Thank you. Can you all please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, if you could please read the police report into the record for the board.
I think Detective Hernandez has this, if I can.
Yep, I have it.
Thank you.
On Saturday, September 29, 2024, Sergeant Detective William Gallagher and Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the BPD license permission and conducted a license premise inspection of the Wild Rover. Upon reviewing the licenses, certificates, and permits of the establishment, detectives observed there was no current inspectional services department certificate posted. As detectives walked through the establishment, they observed 4 patrons drinking alcoholic beverages. They noticed these patrons looked young and asked them to produce identification to confirm their ages. Initially, the patrons stated they were 21 years of age and provided detectives their driver's licenses. Detectives used a license verification app, which confirmed that driver's licenses were indeed fraudulent. The fraudulent driver's licenses were confiscated by detectives. The patrons then provided their true valid driver's licenses. The fraudulent driver's licenses were confiscated by detectives, and the patrons were positively identified. It just goes on to list the 4 individuals.
And then all the individuals were summoned into court for possession of alcohol and false misuse of an RV document. Detectives brought this matter to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. Nico Baldessari. As a result of what detectives discovered, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice 020649 for no current ISD certificate posted and persons under 21 possession of alcohol on premise. Mr. Baldessari signed for an accepted notice. That's all.
Thank you, Detective Hernandez. Attorney Hensler would like to address the alleged incident.
Yes, I have a couple questions for Detective Hernandez. Detective, the 4 people under 21 involved, did you see them in possession of any alcohol?
Yes, sir. It was on their table, sir. And a couple were holding the actual alcohol.
Okay, so how many drinks did you see on the table?
I don't know, sir. I didn't have that.
And were you able to identify the type of alcoholic drinks?
No, sir.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for the detective. I'd like to ask a couple questions from Jackie Bosak, the manager. Jackie, were you on duty the night of the incident?
I was.
Okay. How long have you worked there?
Since 2012.
And what is your position at the Wild Rover?
I'm a manager, but I was filling in that night as a waitress.
Okay. And were you responsible for the table where the 4 patrons were seated?
I was.
Okay. Do you remember seeing these 4 people?
I do at the table.
Okay. At any point, did you serve any of these 4 people an alcoholic beverage?
I did not.
Okay. Would you have recarded them had they tried to order something?
Absolutely. We do it all the time.
Okay. And when you saw them, did they have any drinks on the table?
There was one 16-ounce cup of water.
Okay. So did you observe them in possession of any alcoholic beverages?
I did not.
Okay. And how long was this party at the table?
Maybe less than 5 minutes.
Okay. And was there a party that left just before them?
Just prior.
Okay. And back to the water cup. You mentioned it's a 16-ounce cup of water. Is that different from a cup that would contain alcohol?
Yes, we serve alcohol in 10-ounce cups and waters only in 16-ounce cups.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have for Jackie. To summarize for the board, on September 29th, 2024, a group of 4 came into the Wild Rover and sat down at a table in the back room. At around 11:57 p.m., Boston police came over and determined that the 4 were under 21 years of age, apparently having gained access to the bar using fake IDs. At no point during the period of time when they came into the bar and when the Boston police inspected their IDs were they served alcohol by the Wild Rover staff. The video footage that will be provided to the board shows that the table of 4 people, there was 1 cup with a straw on the table. At no point during the video does one of the 4 people drink from it, and it was not served to them by a Wild Rover staff member. We have heard from the manager, Jackie Bosak, that this appears to be the type of cup used for water at the Wild Rover, and it was likely left over from the group that had left just before them. Though the 4 persons were not served or were in possession of any alcohol in this instance, in order to ensure that no person under 21 years of age is able to access the Wild Rover again, they have since upgraded the ID scanning system at the front of the bar and at the front door, and they have already reviewed this incident with staff. And again, video footage will be provided to the board. We'll figure out a way to get those over this afternoon. The second count of the violation deals with an expired Inspectional Services Department certificate of inspection that was on display at the restaurant. We've provided the board with a receipt showing that the inspection fee was paid by the Wild Rovers, Inc., the licensee, after requesting an inspection on January 22nd, 2024. Between that time and January of 2024 and the time of the incident, the inspection had been completed, but the new certificate had not been issued by ISD despite repeated attempts by Wild Rover staff to procure it. They therefore had no ISD certificate of inspection to post inside the restaurant, despite their best efforts to do so. As the board can see in other photos submitted by the licensee, an updated certificate of inspection has been issued for 2025 and was posted in the premises when received and remains there to this day. We thank the board for your time and we're happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see if there are any questions at this time. Chairwoman Joyce.
Thanks. What is your policy with regards to checking IDs?
I can answer that if you'd like.
Sure.
Please, Bill.
We take United States driver's license, passport, or military active cards.
Okay, the police report says that they looked young, and I think your testimony was that they had not checked their IDs. Is that right?
No, their IDs were checked at the front door that night.
Oh, they were, okay.
So there was a group of 8, and four of the people that were in that group were refused. 4 got in. 4 had IDs that looked legit to the doorman.
Okay. And what was, so the explain to me again the ISD thing. It's just that you hadn't picked it up? Or was there something you were waiting on to get fixed?
I can answer that. I don't know why it's echoing. I'm sorry. When I spoke to Megan, I had to email them after my Inspector Marty did the inspection. We never received it. They mailed it. So, when this incident happened, I realized that they hadn't even given us the ISD. After they do the inspection, I forgot all about it. Usually just comes and then we put it in the licenses. I spoke to, I think it's Megan. I checked my email again this morning, but she said that a lot of stuff had gotten sent back to them. So she sent me a new one right away and then we hung it.
Okay. Thanks. Commissioner Carr and Commissioner Saxon, do you have questions?
On this evening, was it your policy to take out-of-state driver's license?
We do take out-of-state driver's licenses. It is our policy.
Okay. So they were ID'd at the door. What did that entail? Who did it? And do you have a scanner?
We do have a scanner, but at the time of that incident, it's an iPad scanner from ID Science. Somebody had destroyed it about 2 weeks before that. I have a backup system that needed to be updated, and we've since done that.
Okay, so they weren't scanned on the
No, I'm sorry. No, they weren't scanned that night.
Okay, and at this time, underage people, you don't let underage people into the bar at this time, right?
No, nope.
Usually
10 p.m. if we have a function or family functions and stuff, but we stop all that at 10 p.m.
Yep. And how long have they been on premises? Are we going to see that in the video? It wasn't clear to me.
I don't have video from the door, but they said they came in at 11:51. I don't have a front door video for you for the evening. I tried to get it, but I couldn't get it out of the system. I didn't think until the lawyer told me to go get the front door one, but I had pulled all the other video, but I never pulled the front door, and now it's too late to get it out of the DVR.
But
at the time I saw it, when I reviewed all the video, they came in the front door at 11:51, 6 minutes before the incident at the table.
Okay. All right, I'll wait on the video. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Saxon, did you have any questions?
Nothing additional. Thank you.
Great. Anything further from the board on this item? Hey, Attorney Hensler, do please forward the video to the board as soon as you're able. I will forward to the commissioners, and with that, the board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Calling item number 5, Mitsos LLC, doing business as Crossi and Hecate, located at 48 Gloucester Street. Date of the incident, August 3rd, 2024. Blocked fire exit with kitchen equipment and curtain in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 64, and Board's Rule 1.06A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee?
Good morning, Attorney Green, Attorney Trish Farnsworth with Lawson and Whiteson. And with me is Dimitri Solakis, the owner, manager, operator of Crossi and Hecate.
Thank you. Who's present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher.
Detective Hernandez if needed.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify this morning? Okay, Mr. Salakos, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Who will be reading the police report into the record?
Sergeant Detective Gallagher will be.
Thank you. You may please proceed.
On 8/3/2024 at 10:50 p.m., Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, Detective Eddie Hernandez, assigned to the licensed premise unit, conducted a licensed premise inspection tracé at 48 Gloucester Street. While inspecting the bar in the lower level with the manager, Mr. Chris Mason, detectives made observations of the emergency exit. Detectives found the exit leading to the prep area for a kitchen. The door was blocked by kitchen equipment and a blackout curtain that prevented light from the prep area flooding the bar and the lounge area. Detectives informed Mr. Mason that fire exit could not be impeded by what they observed. Mr. Mason stated that he would take corrective action. As a result, it was observed, Sergeant Detective Gallagher issued license premise inspection notice number 021-002 to Crosby for blocked fire exit, kitchen equipment and curtain. Mr. Mason signed for and accepted the notice. I believe we do have a picture, though it's in black and white, of the kitchen area that we observed. That's it.
Thank you very much. Attorney Farnsworth, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, just two questions for Sergeant Detective Gallagher, please. Sergeant Detective Gallagher, was the general manager and staff cooperative during your visit?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
And there were no other issues found upon the inspection, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. That's all I have for the officer. I do just want to note on behalf of the licensee that, they take public safety and compliance with the board's rules and regulations. They're paramount. Mr. Salakis owns and operates a number of establishments in Boston and Brookline. They're well respected and don't have issues. This was an unfortunate mistake. So I just will turn to Dimitri now, and just Dimitri, if you could just tell the board what happened.
Yeah, on that night, they had a dehydrator for their citrus that was on a shelf that came out too much from the wall. Since then, it's been removed. I know our general manager, Christopher Marston, did follow up with photos instantly removing that. And the curtain was a blackout curtain that was since then removed as well.
Okay, and Dimitri, Mr. Manson, he sent the photo to the police to show them that it was corrected right away, right?
Yeah, instantly.
And have you, since then, what have you done to make sure it doesn't happen again? Talks with staff and monitoring and such.
Just make sure they're doing their walkthrough pre-opening and during the shift as well to make sure all, the exits, we only have 2 in the building, are not blocked.
That's all I have for Dimitri.
Thank you. Anything further before we see if the board has any questions?
Just that, they have taken responsibility, fixed it immediately, and, make sure it will not happen again.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll see if there are any questions. Chairwoman Joyce?
I have no questions. Thank you.
No questions from me. Thank you.
None from me, thank you.
Thank you very much. The board will take this matter under advisement.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Calling item number 6, Massachusetts Sports Service, Inc., doing business as TD Garden, located at 100 Legends Way. Date of the incident, October 14th, 2024. Persons under 21 in possession of alcohol on premise in violation of Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, Section 34A, 34C, and 6464A. Who's present on behalf of the licensee? Oh, Attorney Scanlon, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Green, Kristen Scanlon for the licensee. Also with us this morning is Eric Rivers, who is the GM of TD Garden Sports Service, who has personal knowledge of the alleged incident, and signed on as well is John Joines, the Senior Director of Security, Tim Townsell, Senior VP of Business Operations, and Shannon Torgerson, VP and Head of Legal.
Thank you very much. Who is present on behalf of the Boston Police Department?
Detective Hernandez.
Thank you. Are there any other individuals with firsthand knowledge of the alleged incident who wish to testify?
Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, if need be.
Thank you. Could all those who do plan to provide testimony, please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you. Who'll be reading the police report into the record?
I will be.
Thank you. You may please proceed.
Good morning. I'll be reading from a police report which I wrote on Monday, October 14, 2024. Lieutenant Detective Adrian Choi, Sergeant Detective William Gallagher, and Detective Eddie Hernandez assigned to the BPD license permission and conducted license inspection at the TD Garden. While detectives were walking on the balcony concourse level, they observed an alcohol compliance officer ask 3 young-looking female patrons for identification to confirm their ages. One of the 3 females was holding a can of hard iced tea. A Miss Riley Fox stated that she was holding the hard iced tea for a friend later identified as Olivia Sacchetti. Ms. Sacchetti did provide a valid Mass driver's license stating she was over 21 years of age. The 3rd female, Miss Danielle Theron, stated she was under 21 years of age and attempted to produce a driver's license from her wallet. As Ms. Theron was pulling out her license, detectives noticed a second driver's license in her wallet. After a brief conversation, Ms. Theron did eventually provide a fraudulent Maine driver's license. Detectives used a license verification app, which confirmed that provided license was fraudulent. It displayed Ms. Theron's name and the date of birth made appear as though she was over 21 years of age. Ms. Theron then provided a valid Mass driver's license. Detectives verified the license and confirmed that Ms. Theron was under 21 years of age. The fraudulent Maine driver's license was confiscated by detectives. Ms. Fox will be summoned into court for persons under 21 possession of alcohol. Ms. Sacchetti will be summoned into court for procuring alcohol for a person under 21 years of age, and Ms. Theron will be summoned into court for possession of a fraudulent R&B document. Detectives brought this to the attention of the person in charge, Mr. Eric Rivers, and that is all.
Thank you very much. Attorney Scanlon, would you like to address the alleged incident?
Yes, please. A couple questions for Detective Hernandez. Thanks, Detective Hernandez. This particular day was an afternoon Bruins game, correct?
Yes, ma'am, it appears so, yes, because we were there at, yes, in the afternoon, yes.
Thanks. And at the time you observed the licensee's alcohol compliance team engaging with the subject patrons, you were walking with the GM, Eric Rivers, in the concourse after a visit to the premises, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you recall, it was actually Mr. Rivers that drew your attention to the alcohol compliance officer's active engagement with these 3 patrons, right?
That's correct.
So when you approached, and as you mentioned in your report, you observed the alcohol compliance officers actively engaging with the 3 female patrons noted in your report to confirm their ages, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the 3 females, identified as a Ms. Fox, was holding what appeared to be a can of hard iced tea.
Yes, ma'am.
And just for the record, you didn't observe her consume the beverage at any time, correct?
No, ma'am.
And Ms. Fox, who was holding the beverage, she told you and or the alcohol compliance officers that she was holding the beverage for a friend.
Yes.
And that friend was identified as Ms. Sacchetti.
Yes.
And Ms. Sacchetti was confirmed to be over 21 years old, correct?
Yes, she was.
Then the 3rd female informed you and or the alcohol compliance officers that she was under 21, correct?
Yes.
But just for the record, she wasn't observed to be in possession of any alcoholic beverage, correct?
No, ma'am, she wasn't. I didn't see her possess anything.
And just for the record as well, no observation or allegation of sale to any person under the age of 21, correct?
Not that I'm aware of, ma'am.
And of the 3 females, 1, Ms. Fox, is being charged for being in possession under the age of 21, correct?
Yes.
While you were at the premises and during any investigation following this, did staff fully cooperate with you regarding this matter?
Completely, ma'am, yes.
Thank you very much, Detective.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, members of the board, as previously mentioned, this was essentially a self-inflicted violation. The licensee's team is intensely and intently watching to stop pass-offs or pass-backs in its tracks, especially with younger-looking patrons. When BPD was visiting the premises to review alcohol compliance practices, it was as Detective Hernandez confirmed, the general manager, Eric Rivers, who alerted the BPD team to what was happening following Mr. Rivers' receipt of a live time alert from his own team that alcohol compliance officers were doing an ID check on young-looking patrons. As part of the licensee's practice, there is a large group text anytime there is a live issue ongoing, in particular as it relates to an alcohol compliance matter. The licensee's alcohol compliance team noticed these females during an intermission and approached the three to confirm their ages. When they approached, they asked for their IDs and used scanners to confirm what their eyes essentially believed to be true, which was also confirmed with the use of ID scanners by Boston Police. All three females were thereafter escorted from the premises following the licensee's zero tolerance protocol to evict 100% of the time for failure of patrons to abide by alcohol laws and policies. Following this incident, and Mr. Rivers can elaborate further if necessary, the licensee searched the name or the names of the three females noted in the police report for any purchases. The only purchases found were valid purchases by the female of age, Miss Sacchetti, which were 3 separate purchases of 1 drink at a time over the course of approximately an hour. The alcohol compliance team caught the suspected pass-off within approximately 10 minutes of the last 2 purchases. Given the size of the premises and the fact that all ages are permitted there, the licensee is on high alert for these situations, which are being caught by the alcohol compliance team, as indicated here, and by managers and supervisors observing patrons on the premises. This, unfortunately, is an example that people do misbehave, but the licensee's team is on top of it to prevent it and stop it from occurring. And to further their efforts and deter patrons from this sort of behavior, in addition to being included in their guest code of conduct, there are notifications conspicuously posted throughout the premises. They're regularly on the Jumbotron, on various TVs, on all levels, that they will be evicted if they are caught passing off alcohol. That being said, team is happy to answer any questions or concerns the board has regarding this incident.
Thank you very much. We'll see if there are any questions at this time. Chairman Joyce.
Thank you. Attorney, I think you said, if I'm not mistaken, that post-incident, TD Garden searched the computer systems to see about the purchases and only Ms. Sacchetti came up as someone who purchased. Is that right?
Yes.
You checked the fake IDs and both their real names?
The names that were in the police report were
Okay.
checked.
Okay. I'm just curious though, the fake IDs that were in the people's wallets or whatever, were they the same name?
Mr. Rivers, can you confirm that? I believe it stated the name
Yeah.
was the same in the report.
I'm not sure what the names, the fake IDs were. Maybe Detective Hernandez would recall.
It does state that the one charged in possession of the fraudulent RMV document did display her name.
Okay, I'm just curious if you learned anything upon reviewing, I don't know, video or transactions. Did something happen at the point of purchase? But it sounds like your testimony is that the other two didn't purchase anything. Is that right?
Correct. From review of the alleged incident and trying to trace back to where they were purchased, there was nothing at the stands. And Eric, you can confirm this as well. It was the person of age mentioned in the police report that made the purchases and not anyone underage with a fake.
That's correct.
Okay. Thanks, Commissioner Carr and Commissioner Saxon.
I have no questions. Thank you.
None from me. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, the board will take this matter under advisement as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes the license premise inspection portion of this morning's hearing. The remaining 2 items are an informational hearing. The 2 licensees in question are Athenian Enterprise, Inc., doing business as Stashes, located at 612 Blue Hill Ave in Dorchester, and Papantoniadis Pizza Inc., doing business as Bell Ave Pizza, located at 330 Belgrade Ave in Roslindale. It's an informational hearing regarding the ownership beneficial interest in the licensee entity and the filing of the licensee's annual renewal pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 140, Section 9, and Board's Rule 1.15A6. According to the board's records, both licenses are 100% owned by Stavros Papantoniadis, who has been convicted and sentenced on 3 counts of forced labor and 3 counts of attempted forced labor. Chairman Joyce, do you have any remarks before we hear from the licensee?
No, let's hear from the licensee first, and then I might have some questions.
Thank you. Who's present on behalf of the licensees?
Good afternoon, no, good morning, Attorney Green, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dennis Quilty, attorney representing the licensee. With me this morning, Attorney Susan Aguiar, who is the corporate attorney for both of these licensee entities. Good morning. We are aware that obviously there are some questions that have been raised about ownership of these 2 licenses. I can tell you that the family, Mr. Stavros Papantoniadis, who was obviously the owner operator and is the person who you just indicated has been convicted of a felony. His family has been running these 2 licenses since Mr. Papantoniadis was sentenced. I do want to make sure that the board is aware that these 2 licenses were similarly reviewed as they have been for 2025. They were renewed for 2024 in the same category as they are today, if you will. The Attorney Aguiar and myself, I've only been involved in this for about 10 days. She's got a long history with the family, has been working very, very hard to try to put this back together so that the family does not get punished, if you will, for the activities of the one person. We have made the changes in both entities at the Secretary of State to remove Mr. Stavros Papantoniadis from any interest whatsoever in either of the 2 licenses. I can just give you a verbal update, and we will provide this in writing to the board later today. But the Athenian Enterprises license has always been held in the mother of this family, Anastasia Papantoniadis, Mr. Stavros, and the brother Anastasios Papantoniadis. So Mr. Stavros Papantoniadis had a 25% interest that has been done away with. His son, Gregorius Papantoniadis, has taken that 25% ownership. That's what our new filings will show you, which we'll provide to the board later today, again, at the Secretary of State's office. I had made a verbal request to get a continuance today so that we could file the licensing board documents appropriately to confirm what we've done at the Secretary of State, which was not allowed, understandably. I get that. We would like an opportunity to provide those documents and simultaneously file the appropriate documents with you. That license, the Athenian, is managed by the manager of record is Mr. Arton Merteri, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. He was also the manager of record in 2024. He was made that after Mr. Stavros Papantoniadis was sentenced. He is in the process of seeking to purchase that business, the Athenian Enterprises Inc. license and business. He has made a $50,000 deposit, which is being held in escrow. We again will provide this in writing to you. The holdup in doing an immediate transfer of that is that the existing license has an SBA loan, which needs to be resolved before we can affect the ownership change, but it is fully in process. Literally, I think the $50,000 deposit being held in escrow shows you the seriousness. with which the parties are taking this application, and that license, if allowed, will be transferred entirely into the hands of Mr. Marteri and whatever entity he sets up to operate it, and the Papantoniadis family will have nothing further to do with that license. I can move on briefly to Papantoniadis Pizza Incorporated, the second one. This again was held, this license was held entirely by Mr. Stavros Papantoniadis. The new application or the new filings with the Secretary of State will show you that it's now held entirely by his mother, Anastasia Papantoniadis. And she is, and the manager of record on that one is, I can't even pronounce his name, Polixny
Polyaxani.
Papantoniadis, who is another relative. What is she, Susan?
She is the wife of Stavros,
Okay.
and
So
she
she's
runs the shop.
She's the manager of record, and she is basically running the shop under the direction of the now sole shareholder, Anastasia Papantoniadis, who's the matron, if you will, of this family. So we again will be able to provide all of this information in writing to you, as well as further backup, if you will, on the proposal of Mr. Marteri to purchase the Athenian Enterprises license. The family, the remaining family, the matron, Anastasia, Mr. Papantoniadis' wife, and the family will hopefully be able to maintain this license. It's their business, their source of income. This would be obviously extremely detrimental to the entire family. We're hoping that by the willingness to remove Mr. Stavros Papantoniadis from any ownership interest, the board will see that this license is in a new frame, if you will, new ownership, new operations, and can be run appropriately as it has been since Mr. Stavros Papantoniadis was sentenced. He's had nothing to do with operations. Family is operating the restaurant. They ask only to be allowed to continue to do that and remove him from any interest in the license. And then to move forward again on the application to transfer and sell the other business, Athenian, to Mr. Marteri, who again is the present manager of record and has, to the best of our knowledge, been running the operation successfully without issue since Mr. Papantoniadis was sentenced. We apologize for coming to this late. The family was unaware. Ms. Aguiar does great work for them on the business side. She was the first to tell me that she has no experience on the licensing side. They reached out to me. This was right around the Christmas holiday. And we've quickly tried to do things to get the paperwork in order and be in a position to file with the board for a transfer of these licenses as indicated with the Secretary of State changes to ownership. And again, we're prepared to do that immediately. And we apologize for the time that it's taken to do this. I think it's only lack of knowledge on the part of the family as to what they were required to do. And for that, we certainly apologize and will, if allowed, will correct the documentation, file the appropriate applications, proceed with the sale of the Athenian business, and hopefully allow the family to maintain its ownership of the Papantoniadis Pizza Incorporated license. And obviously, we, Attorney Aguiar and myself, are here to take any of your questions this morning. Thank you very much for the time.
Thanks. I understand that you were just brought in recently. However, I'm not inclined to see Mr. Stavros benefit in any way financially from any of this. And it sounds like his wife is going to be getting the proceeds of the sale and then managing the business after.
No, she's the present manager of record. His mother, excuse me, his mother would be the 100% shareholder and officer director of the entity.
Okay, so it may not be for you, Attorney Quilty, but maybe for Attorney Aguiar. Who's getting the proceeds of the sale? Full sales.
The Small Business Association, there are two SBA loans that are
Okay.
on both, and they have to be paid off. No one in the family will be receiving any beneficial interest at all. This is strictly to pay off the SBAs.
Okay, and his wife, how long has she been involved in the business?
Since they were married 20 years ago.
Okay, so somebody renewed these licenses this year and checked off that no one has been subject to any federal or state criminal civil judgment regarding Fair Labor Standards Act, which was incorrect and false. So that is submitting a false document to us. Are you aware of that?
No, I was not aware of that. And I
Okay.
apologize. Again,
They signed these, so I'm trying to figure out in my mind why wouldn't, and I think it was the gentleman who's going to be buying it as manager of record, he actually falsified that. Why wouldn't we
I think in
cancel these
fairness,
licenses?
actually, I don't think he was aware, but in other words, I know he
He
signed
wasn't
the
aware of
renewal.
Stavros's impending crimes. It was all over the news.
Yeah, I can't tell you for certain. I wasn't
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
know
even like
he's not a
people
family
not even
member.
in licensing or were aware of what happened here. It was all over the news. So to work there and to know what was going on and then to fill out these forms and to not answer them honestly raises questions. And one of the questions I have is why wouldn't we just cancel this license and make them apply new?
because it would be,
I think the problem with that is this whole loan situation. If this
Yeah.
gets, I don't know. I
And-
think if we are, it seems to me the cleanest way to resolve this would be to allow this person to buy the business and remove
Correct.
the Papantoniadis family entirely from it. But they do have to consider this loan, which has to be taken care of before it can be transferred to him or sold to him. So I don't know, Susan. I don't do federal loan work. I have no idea what the status is, but if you're saying that that must be paid off before it can be sold.
or an
that's the
agreement
problem.
has to be made with them 100%, yes. But, he did not, I mean, for the last 2 years, Mr. Papatoniadis was only convicted a couple months ago. Prior to that, he had not been convicted. He had been arrested. But the fact of the matter is, Mr. Mertieri had no knowledge in him running the business as the manager that he was in violation of anything.
Okay. If that's your testimony, thank you. Commissioner Curran or Commissioner Saxon?
I mean, just to reiterate, Mr. Materi, is that how you say his name?
Yes.
Yes.
He dated his attestation on the 29th, and I believe there's news reports on October 25th that Mr. Sash, I guess. Sorry.
Papatoniadis.
Yeah. He had been convicted maybe the day before, I guess, right?
Interesting. I could only suggest.
I'm just trying to get the timing right here.
I could only suggest, Commissioner, that since Mr. Merteri actually signed the renewal for 2024, I think he just assumed it was a standard paperwork that he'd filed in the past, that he was to file it again to renew the license. I don't think he delved into, unfortunately, I don't think he delved into, nor did he ask advice as to how we should do that. And I apologize for the fact that he signed it after Mr. Papantoniadis and apparently was convicted. I don't know the dates, but I think it was just really a kind of a clerical thing on his part. I don't think he paid a lot of attention to every detail, was simply trying to renew as he did the year before. And that's all I can think, is that he kind of thought he was doing the right thing.
He also had no idea either, as well as if you look at the 24 and 25 license, Anastasia was the one who signed the licenses because she is the primary owner. He had no knowledge that anything with a conviction as to Mr. Papatoniadis wasn't a violation of anything, because he thought he was doing right. The owner, Mrs.
No. He signed the 25 Athenian Enterprises license.
Yes, Anastasia Papatoniadis signed it.
No.
He only signed the attorney record, according to what I have.
I'm looking at the 25, I'm looking at the 25 renewal right here. Artan Materi
Yes,
on October 29, 2024 signed the renewal.
okay. It
And
should
he
have,
also signed the wage theft statement
okay,
on the 29th.
all right. I was. under
Which
the-
I'm, at this moment, I will take as that he signed it after Stash had been convicted.
Ms. Stavros is not Stash. Stash is the brother, is the other one, the other owner. I know.
I'm sorry.
But again, I will tell you that Mr. Martiri strictly had no conception whatsoever that he was doing anything that he should not have been doing. Thought that as he was in the process, is in the process, that he was not violating anything.
Yeah, I mean,
no knowledge.
he signed these documents that have very clear statements on them.
He indeed, Commissioner, I'm looking at it as well. He indeed did sign the 2025 renewal. Again, I can only think that he thought he was doing the right thing. He's not a family member. He's the manager. Again, he's in the process of trying to buy this. I believe that he felt he was doing the right thing and renewing it as he did the year before. And again, I can't get into his mind to tell you that, but I believe it, as I said here before you, that this was unintentional on his part. I don't think he understood that, the ramifications of, when he signed it in regard to Mr. Stavros. And again, I think it's fair that the whole time here, Anastasia was the president of the company. And he could easily have thought he was doing her bidding, obviously, as the president, and not paying attention to what Stavros's situation was at that time. I mean, she has continued to be the president and a 50% shareholder throughout this entire process. I mean, back to 2024 and earlier. I mean, I think it's conceivable that he could have been doing this at her direction without regard to what Stavros's situation vis-a-vis the conviction was.
But on October 29th, Stavros still had an interest in the business, right?
He had a 25% interest in the business. Yes.
Okay.
The mother had the 50%. She's the president.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Saxon.
I guess just I can only say that I hope you realize that Attorney Aguilar and myself are trying to do everything we can to resolve this and fix the issue and move on from Mr. Stavros Papantoniadis, get the one business sold to the other gentleman, and let the family maintain its business, the Papantoniadis Pizza, which again appears to have been running appropriately without issue and is an important part of their ability to keep themselves afloat. So we've made the changes at the Commonwealth level, and we're ready and willing and able to make the application before you and attend any future hearing that you require from us in that regard. And we're, again, if allowable, we will provide information in writing to you following this hearing and restate what we've told you, but give it to you in documentary form so you have something to review.
Thank you, Chairman Joyce. Any last questions?
Not me. No.
Thank you. With that, the board will take this under advisement as well, and we look forward to any written correspondence regarding what we've covered during this informational hearing this afternoon or this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Those are all the items before the board this morning that will adjourn this hearing. The board will convene to vote on Thursday, January 9th at 10 a.m. Notice has been posted to the city's website. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.